I promise you, I've done everything I possibly can. I've shipped out all the old guard for you. We've broken our transfer record twice. We lost to Bayern Munich just now, but that wasn't your fault. Just look after the place while I'm gone, and we'll get back to winning ways soon, trust me. What? Where am I going? I've got a Nations League to win, my excellent friend. For 8 years, I have built my reputation as the director of Moneyball, and now, here I stand, Kirk Sheridan, the director of England. European Championship winners in 2028. The number 1 international team in the world for the last 5 years. Boss. But losing World Cup finalists last season. I have been hired for one reason alone. Boss, can I speak to them now? Hang on a minute. In 2034, we win the World Cup, or I retire from football. That's very interesting, Mr. Sheridan, but can we meet the new England manager now, please? My old friend and reigning Premier League manager of the season, Antony Clarke. Antony Clarke, what do you think of the squad that Kirk Sheridan has selected for you? Thank you, Mr. Sheridan. We have a number of very recognisable names in this group. Bellingham, Rice, Saka, James, and of course, England's record appearance holder, Raheem Sterling. But we also have some wonderfully talented young players, Bruce Smith, Joe Taylor, and of course Ben McNamee, who I have had the pleasure of coaching for the last few years. Until I was so unscrupulously dumped by my previous club at the behest of their new big-name manager after the departure of their previous big-name director of football, who would not take me with him to his new club in Germany. Whoa, you wanted to stay on Merseyside? Because you promised me that my achievements would be rewarded. They were. Everton gave you a new contract. And then they sacked me. We can only assume Sheridan and Clarke overcame their little tiff, as there was no hint of tension in the camp as England romped away with a 3-0 victory against Norway. In fact, Clarke appeared to be liberated after his departure from Everton, the previous pragmatist unleashing a free-roaming playmaker and Mezzala combination in the centre of midfield ahead of a half-back pivot. Norway were pinned back in their own half for the vast majority of the game and never seriously threatened. A Marcus Rashford penalty, a Declan Rice header from a deep Livramento cross, and a clinical Dane Scarlett finish connecting to a beautifully weighted Phil Foden pass claimed the 3 points for England. 90,000 fans celebrated this victory with Antony Clarke, but the new manager's naivete at international level was on show in their game against Israel. Naive? Trust me on this, it builds on the suspense. If you say so, boss. 3 days later, despite dominating every possible underlying metric from progressive passes to percentage of headers won, England escaped Israel with just a 2-2 scoreline to show for it. Israel achieved only 2 shots on target in the entire match, and Ramsdale was unable to prevent either of them from crossing the goal line. Joe Taylor picked up his first England cap in this match, but McNamee, Whittles and Tesgell, Antony Clarke's Everton alumni, were kept on the bench. Perhaps Antony Clarke sending a message to the squad that a positive relationship with the man in charge will not automatically lead to taking to the field with 3 lions on your shirt. Greetings, my excellent friends. So tell me, what are you thinking about the team for our next league match with Borussia Dortmund? I gave you 4 more fantastic new signings on deadline day. If it were me picking the team for Stuart Ward, I'd be putting Rogan in immediately. Just look at his positioning, his tackling, his endurance, his strength. He is the best defender we have all day long. And Bennell and Strykens, what a pair of wingers they are going to be for us. But it is not my call. I have employed Stuart Ward to pick the team, and I trust him implicitly. And I was absolutely right to put my faith in him. The 2 changes he made, bringing in Jaman and McNish, inspired. 3 assists and a goal from Warner, debut goals for McNish and Burnell, Ledoux also on the score sheet. Well played, Stuart. But the shine was taken off that victory in a big way when I started to look into our best players' contractual clauses. I've only been working with Paul Warner for a few weeks, but he is, without doubt, one of the best players I have ever had the pleasure of working with. 18, I say again, 18 goal contributions in 6 matches. But I've just discovered he has a £73 million release clause. That is bad. So let's fix this now. He will be the highest paid player at the club, but no more release clause. And 5 more years guaranteed. Not a moment too soon, because Newcastle are believed to be tracking him. And just to ram home his importance to Dortmund, he then followed this up by scoring the only goal against Braga to get us 3 points in the Champions League. And he has signed 5 more years. 2 more wins in the league followed this, a 3-2 victory away at Köln, then an exceedingly rare quiet match for Warner against Wolfsburg. Good job we have Rijkoff, Burnell and Stroikens then. We are not a one-man team after all. The board and supporters, however, are proving somewhat hard to please. They seem to be reeling from the sale of so many established players. But up next, we have a golden opportunity to show how far we have come. Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League. A Chelsea team under Graham Potter who are only 14th in the Premier League. These odds could not be more in our favour.
Kirk, could you please tell us what went wrong in that game?
Well, firstly, let me say I'm very happy with the team that Stuart Ward put out and the tactical approach to the match as well. We achieved a higher XG than Chelsea. Admittedly, one of our efforts was a penalty, so we did create some strong chances. We were also very advanced on the pitch. The heat map says a lot about how we took the game to the opposition away from home. But the Premier League is the strongest league in the world for a reason. We gave up a lot of possession and momentum to Chelsea. They are a very good side after all. And I do feel that we are missing that elite level goalkeeper. There was some pretty poor decision making from Cerner for their 3rd goal. But the lad is young. He will learn from this and he'll come back stronger. Could we get back on track against Eintracht Frankfurt? Well, we were comprehensively outplayed. Another concerningly quiet game from Warner since he signed his new contract. That is definitely a worry. There was a dreadful mistake from German, leading to Frankfurt's 1st goal, but somehow, some way, Rijkoff rescued a point for us in the 90th minute, and we go into the international break 3rd in the league, unbeaten except against Bayern Munich, and the board were just expecting us to qualify for the Champions League this season. So far, so good.
England football news now, and Marcus Rashford is the headline omission from Kirk Sheridan's latest England squad. Rico Lewis has been recalled to the squad, however, and is in line to make his debut in the Nations League matches against Holland and Israel.
Welcome to England national duty, boys. I have to tell you lads, this is the perfect opportunity for the more inexperienced members of this squad to step up and show that you can take this team into the new era. It is your chance to shine. A clean slate. Make it count. Well, that is the overall reaction that I was hoping for, and I do of course respect those of you who don't agree with me. Unfortunately, Antony's squad followed up this motivational masterclass with a performance that can only be categorised as a damp squib. Rijkoff scored the opener for Holland. 103 caps experienced Phil Foden started up front as a false 9 and completely flattered to deceive. 34 touches and he lost possession 10 times. Saka did equalise for England, but my old Everton favourite Bruce Smith was England's best performer, and we did nothing, absolutely nothing in the second half. We must beat Israel. And that is more like it. Tesgel scores his 1st goals for England. I knew he'd be a good one. Remember, I bought him for Everton. Recalled Jadon Sancho scored in added time. We had an XG above 4 and an XG against of 0.05. Total complete utter dominance. And Ben McNamee even made it on for his England debut. What a day. England topped the group with matches against Norway and Holland still to come. Back home in Dortmund, we quickly put the disappointing draw against Frankfurt behind us. 2 for Rijkoff, 1 on the score sheet, and Ledoux grabbing a goal off the bench. 2 assists for Adeyemi, who Ward had moved out to the right flank as Struikens was rested, and another Idik clean sheet. We followed this with a 3-0 win at Monaco in the Champions League, a hat-trick for Struikens, clearly feeling better after a nice little rest. But then a flat visit to Fortuna Dusseldorf took the wind out of our sails. We didn't create a lot, and it looks like Stuart Ward needs to rotate the players as a lot, and I mean a lot of them, are getting tired. Rogan in particular definitely needs to rest. It's a big call because up next we play Leverkusen in the Cup. A competition the board expect us to reach the quarter-finals of, but I have to think long-term here. We'll tell him to take a short break, but he's having none of it. Okay, over to Stuart then, to make the call on the day. Leverkusen are favourites for this match, and they are also the home team. But Stuart Ward fancies our chances. So come on then, Stuart, show us what you can do. Well, an extra time defeat certainly won't do our energy levels any favours. Frustratingly, we were the better team in every respect, except for goals scored, momentum, shots, possession, XG, progressive passes, final third passes. We were better on every single metric, but Cerner should have done much, much better for their winner. So here we stand at the end of October. Dortmund have failed to reach the quarter-final of the Cup, but the board understand we did have a difficult draw, with 13th in the Champions League and 4th place in the Bundesliga. We're falling away from Bayern, but we are well clear of the Europa League spots. Given that Stuart Ward and I can still only speak basic German, and we've completely overhauled the squad, that's not a bad start. And what a way to bounce back from a cup loss. We begin November with a 7-0 victory.
Hoffenheim's match against Borussia Dortmund will have been a moment Niklas Süle will want to forget, as he suffered a heavy defeat at the hands of his former club in a contest which also saw VAR deployed. Roaming playmaker Rafael Luis gave Borussia Dortmund the lead with a curling shot into the top corner in the 35th minute. Complete forward Nelson Viper had a chance to score from the penalty spot for Hoffenheim on the 45-minute mark, but Idik was able to deny him. But Dortmund Struikens was forced off with pulled knee ligaments in the 48th minute following a tackle by Kevin Ruger. Advanced forward Julian Rijkoff doubled Dortmund's lead with a fine header from point-blank range on 53 minutes. An error from Hoffenheim's Christoph Baumgartner allowed Rijkoff to score with a low drive. Karim Adeyemi scored a marvellous hat-trick as the Hoffenheim defence simply failed to cope with the right winger's explosive finishing. He first added to the lead with a place shot into the bottom corner on 72 minutes. Adeyemi added his second goal of the game with a deftly executed finish from close range on 75 minutes, and he completed his hat-trick with a penalty into the bottom corner on 84 minutes. Referee Christian Dingert went to the VAR system, which confirmed that the penalty was correctly awarded. Central defender Gabriel Germain completed the route with a good header from just inside the 6-yard box on 93 minutes. Dortmund have climbed above Bayer Leverkusen and Schalke to second in the Bundesliga after winning 4 of their last 5 home league games.
3 assists for Saltor there, total control despite another quiet game from Warner. The only downside is Struikens, now out for 2 to 3 weeks. With Benel still on his way back from injury, does this mean that Ward is going to bring Larinaga back into the team? And Bayern win 8-0. It's another man of the match performance from Adeyemi as we cruise past Romanian club CFR Cluj in the Champions League, and this is despite Ward picking a heavily rotated team. Dusdag and Rogan both rested, Asp Jensen in for the injured Struikens, McNish playing in the centre of defence for Rogan alongside Timber. Alex Keats even makes his debut as a 76th minute substitute. I was a little concerned to hear Ward saying to the assembled media that he wouldn't even swap Adeyemi for Erling Haaland. But on closer inspection, yes, the attributes are a way off, but look at the difference between those stats so far this season. Stuart Ward might have a point after all. One person who isn't happy after that match, though, is Larinaga. Seeing Aspiensen preferred over him, I think, is the final straw, and he hands in a transfer request. I tried to convince him to be a squad player, but he wants more. Ward doesn't fancy him, so there's just no point keeping him around. And Villa are straight in with a £30 million offer. I want a profit, though. It's my job here, so we'll push for $35 million and a percentage of the next sale, which is accepted. There, my friends, is the ruthlessness of the director of Moneyball in action. Larinaga joined us less than 4 months ago, just 3 weeks before I was appointed as Dortmund's director of football. Aspiensen fully justifies being picked ahead of Larinaga, though, in our next match with the winner against Ingolstadt, and we go into the international break in 3rd place, with officially 2 of the best players in the whole world on our books. Both my signings. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome. After a 3-1 win in Norway, Antony Clarke's England need just 1 point against Holland to reach the Nations League semi-final. And AC is not changing his approach. He is a pragmatist with that balanced gegenpress system. Give the other team the ball, press high and hit them on the break. It served him well so far. Won Premier League with Everton, 129 matches won. Will the next game take it to 130? Yes, it does. Rice, Rashford and Sancho on the score sheet. We actually dominated, but Holland scored because of a little mistake from Ramsdale. Rico Lewis finally winning his first England cap at the age of 25, and England are in the Nations League semi-final. So that is international football done until 2031. We now have 6 weeks until the transfer window opens, and we need to keep pushing Bayern at the top of the Bundesliga. Our status as odds-on favourites for the match against Gladbach was absolutely justified. Yet another Adeyemi hat-trick, and we pushed Gladbach back so far that the average position of every single one of their players was in their own half. Probably weren't so glad to be back after all. The shine has been taken off, though, with an injury to McNish, who might be out until Christmas. And unfortunately, Warner, Saltor and Dusdag all need a rest. These players are expiring fast, but we can't stop. We have 3 critical matches in succession now. PSG at home in the UEFA Champions League. Schalke away, our fierce local rivals who are also pushing for a Champions League spot. And Leverkusen at home, last year's Bundesliga champions who are 3 points ahead of us. Win them all and we make a major statement. Lose them and I've got a huge job on my hands to strengthen this squad further in January. PSG then, we outpassed them, we outran them, but they managed 11 shots on target to our 4. And we conceded an own goal. Saltor having a torrid time against Fofana. But that's okay. I know we're behind the elite in Europe. I am very much focusing my attention on the home front this season. We're favourites against Schalke, but they'll have 73,000 fans on their side. The board expect a draw. The fans expect a win. And it's another Paul Warner show! A 10 out of 10 performance. 2 goals himself, and he set up Rijkoff for our 3rd. This man is remarkable. Ledo will miss the Leverkusen game with a pulled groin though, and 3 players are now tired. But you know what? I trust Ward to make the call on the squad for our match against Leverkusen. It's getting very tight at the top now. Leverkusen beat Bayern Munich, so if we can beat Leverkusen, we go ahead of them on goal difference. Massive question though, can we do it with a squad that's on its knees?
A strike from Jonathan Aspiensen helped send Borussia Dortmund to the top of the Bundesliga after a 2-1 victory against Bayer Leverkusen on a mild autumnal evening at Signal Iduna Park. An error from Leverkusen's Anatoly Trubin allowed Aspiensen, playing as an attacking midfielder, to score a good header from just inside the 6-yard box. Pacey goalkeeper Karim Adeyemi doubled Borussia Dortmund's lead with a good header from just inside the 6-yard box on 39 minutes. An error from Dortmund's Ott Saltor allowed inverted winger Julian Duranville to score a deftly executed finish from close range, but Leverkusen were unable to push for an equaliser. Borussia Dortmund have been performing above expectations in the Bundesliga so far this season and now find themselves in 1st place.
Wow, this is amazing news, and we did that without Paul Warner, who was too tired to even make the matchday squad. But of course it didn't last, because Bayern beat Hertha in the late kickoff to go 2 points clear. And then...
Breaking news ahead of Borussia Dortmund's critical Bundesliga match against Hertha Berlin. Gerard Rogan, Dortmund's record signing and star central defender, who has recently been named as one of the 5 best players in the whole world of football, will be out injured for a month. He will miss 3 league matches and Dortmund's glamorous Champions League tie against Barcelona.
2 goals are enough for us to beat Hertha and send us back to the top of the league, at least for a couple of hours, until Bayern beat Mainz. Warner is tired again and needs a rest, but we've got Barcelona in the Champions League next. A 3-0 home defeat with Barcelona completely dominant is hard to take. To be honest, it was a dreadful performance from us. Only Marquez emerges with any credit. But in the Bundesliga, we are quality. 6-1 against Mainz, and we go top again. We completed 661 successful passes and spread the goals around all of our front 5, Rijkoff included. Saltor picks up an injury though, possibly as a result of the heavy schedule, and with Rogan and Marquez also out, that's 3 of our first choice back 4 who are going to be out when we play Stuttgart in our final match of 2030. Thankfully, we have the winter break afterwards, and it can't come soon enough. However, like Agent Smith fighting Neo at a subway in front of an onrushing train, Bayern win their late kickoff and go back to the top. We have one more chance before the transfer window closes to finish 2030 at the top of the league. Warner makes it through his fatigue to score the only goal away at Stuttgart, and Cerner picks up yet another clean sheet. German, Svenningsson and Timber all stepping in brilliantly to our makeshift back 4. More injury woes though, as Adeyemi pulls his calf. Hopefully he'll be back after the winter break. I'm sorry, how did Bayern get on? You can probably guess. But with over half a season gone, the most dominant team in German football are only 2 points clear of my Borussia Dortmund. Sorry, Stuart Ward's Borussia Dortmund. And last season's champions are 4 points behind us. We've scored 50 goals in 17 games, only lost once to the team that's ahead of us in the league, and the media now make us 15-2 for the title. We're ahead of Leverkusen in the odds now, but still behind Bayern. Idikel Cerner, despite being brought in as a backup goalkeeper, has the highest save percentage in the whole league. Paul Warner is the Bundesliga's best player and has crafted the most assists. Adeyemi has the 3rd highest average rating and is 2nd top scorer, massively outscoring his XG. Now that's a lovely thing to look at now, but one to watch because it could drop off massively in the second half of the season, and that would not be a good thing. All in all, not too bad for a managerial duo who have only been in post for 5 months. At least Stuart can speak fluent German now. I'm still just getting by with the basics. So, with January just around the corner, what are the weakest areas of the team for me to improve? Well, goalkeeper, definitely. Maybe a second high-class centre-back? I'm pondering a defensive midfielder as well, but McNish has high potential, so I think, apart from in goal, I'll be relying on youth for our strength in depth. After all, that is a fundamental Moneyball principle. January's going to be a quiet window, I think. And the transfer window opens. Laranaga is already confirmed to leave. Oh, and now Everton want Luis and Adeyemi. Arsenal and Barcelona both want Saltor. And Barcelona also want Marquez. I think it might be a busy January after all.